Talut story. This is the story of a kind man who has become a rebel of his own world. If you like this story, then like and subscribe to the channel. This story begins with a train. The train had started. I was alone in the compartment. I had a briefcase full of notes. All the doors and windows of the train were closed, but still I was feeling cold. I had stolen the cash from my office and escaped. The purpose of the theft was Zarina, who worked in the office, who had been in love with me for a few months and decided to marry Akhtar Beg, the cashier of the same office. But the student's salary was AK-5 suffer and mine was only half of that. That's why Zarina had accepted Akhtar Beg's proposal. Zarina was taken away from me by taking advantage, and now after a few days they were married. I thought that the police would come to my flat, so I left the letter written by Zarina on the table in the room, saying that the police would also question Zarina if they did not find me. Salary was due today. I took the office cash from Akhtar Baig's cupboard during my lunch break and went straight to the station, and now I was far away from my city. A family was sitting on the seats in front of me in the train, which had alighted at the Pasan station some time ago, and now I was sitting alone. I knew that Seth Hashmat, the owner of our company, would not rest easy, and the police had to search for me all over the country. I was thinking to go to a small town or village and spend a year in simplicity and anonymity. After a year, go to a city and start a small business, change my name. I was newly rich, my heart was in a strange state. There was also the fear of the police and the joy of money. I was thinking that now I will have many Zarinas in my pocket, but now I will find a faithful girl, not like Zarina. 1200 rupees is a lot, so 86,000 is a lot of money. I put the briefcase on my chest. I don't know how much time passed before I felt a strong grip on my shoulders. My eyes opened. Many people were standing in front of me. Their faces were clearly visible in the light spread in the compartment. What happened was what I was afraid of. I was arrested. My eyes closed. They all started looking at me with strange eyes. But in a few hours, I realized that these people did not have police uniforms on their bodies. They were wearing strangely long robes. I looked at their faces. They looked dangerous. They had long beards and they were quite tall. Robber. My mind chanted if they were robbers, and entered the moving train. Then I got hung up. My eyes got dark. I became poor as soon as I got rich. I let myself loose in their grip. One of them said in a heavy voice, "We are forced Prince Hebrew. This is the order of the asylum seeker that wherever you are, whatever condition you are in, you should be arrested. We apologize for this insolence, but you understand our compulsions." I was looking at them with my eyes wide open, and only these words came out of my mouth. "What does it mean?" he said in a humble tone. "I would like to say as your mentor that youth is like a strong horse that wants to run at a gallop on rough roads and eventually stumbles and falls on its face and bleeds. The devil in youth. The closer the world you want to see, the more colorful it is, but there are insects hidden inside them whose poison becomes the leprosy of humanity. We are ready to do it. Showing your parents' heart is a great sin. You don't know how much we are saddened by this act of yours. We have come to take you back." I was looking at this old man who was talking to me with a big fat tongue. This robber was making a fool of me. He wanted to say this, bowing his head politely in front of me. He said. I said with a broken heart, "Man, cut it half and half." He shook his head in an uncomprehending manner and looked at the others, and again bent down and put his face to my ear and said, "What is Prince Alam saying? Don't joke, talk about work. I'm willing to give half with pleasure," I said in a full tone, and the old man looked at me like a madman and then laughed and said, "Your mischief is well known. This old Atalik will also become a victim of it." I didn't think. "What do you want?" I said in surprise. "I want to take you back. I am your slave and I am ordered to bring you back at all costs," said the old man humbly. "Where to go?" I asked. "Mahal," the old man answered. I was shocked that they are not telling the truth. They are not really thinking of me as the prince of a state. May God be so. But later, I will not be ashamed. So I said, "Tell me, what is my name?" The old man said, "Yusuf Ibn." I said my name is Arif not Yusuf Ibran and today I stole from Seth Hishmat's office and ran away and by God I am not kidding. We are servants, so we can't be safe from your jokes. Get ready to go. Too much time has already been wasted. Masi, stop the train. The old man said, and for a moment the train jolted and there was a loud screeching sound from the wheels of the train was heard and the speed of the train was slowing down. They held me tightly and came to the door. Hey Bad Baktu, take my briefcase, I said to Rohan. So one of them picked up the briefcase and as soon as the train stopped, he took me and jumped down. They were moving towards the dark forest in front of me. Their walking speed was very fast and suddenly they reached the forest. They stopped between the trees, the old man said to a companion. Call Rahman, and the fellow nodded and went to the grove of trees and they picked me up and stood there. My mind was confused as to who these people were. It was clear that they were not robbers. They were not telling the truth. Were they really people from a state far away from the cities? I had left myself to the circumstances. What else could I have done? I had no choice but to leave myself to the circumstances. Anyway, I needed a safe haven to avoid the police for a few days. After a few minutes, I heard the sound of strange bells. The old man said, Come, come, and the people standing around me took my arms and moved forward. As soon as I came out of the trees, I saw lights. These colored lights were installed in a horse carriage. In the shadow of the lights, I saw white horses, in which 4 horses were riding. The door of the carriage was opened and a golden post was taken out and placed down. Let's go, Prince Alam. Very good, I said, taking a deep breath, and got into the car and sat on the seat. As soon as I sat on the seat, I felt as if I was sitting on wings. The old man sat on the seat in front of me and closed the door from inside. The car started with a slight jolt. Everyone else was left outside. The dull sounds of the bells tied around the horses' necks were ringing in my ears. For a long time, I tried to explain to the old man, but he was not ready to accept me. The car continued to run and I was wondering how it was traveling on the roads that there was not even a slight jolt even though a journey had started from the dense forest. I didn't want to talk to this flattering old man. I closed my eyes and I don't know when I fell asleep. Then when I felt hands on my body, my eyes opened and the car stopped. Get down, the old scholar said respectfully. I looked at him with the eyes of a saint and got down from the car, placing my feet on the post. There were torches, there were colorful flames, it was a beautiful scene. Then my eyes were raised towards this grand building which was of old style and there were numerous domes in it. I was not in my illusion that I would really reach a palace. I walked up the marble stairs and entered through the beautiful door. There was a long corridor which was bright, there was a spotted red carpet, there were big bright stones installed in the divans, from which the light was coming. I was mesmerized by this environment. The old man was with me. I didn't want to dare to talk directly to him now that he was a victim of misunderstanding, so he wouldn't pull my skin somewhere later. The corridor ended at a door. We passed through the door. On the other side, there was a grand hall with numerous pillars and the pillars were also illuminated with different colors. There were huge doors all around the hall. It was also a big room of imitation. There was a chandelier hanging on the ceiling of the room, which had blue glasses and a candle was lit in each glass. The blue light had made the atmosphere dreamy. The old man stopped and said that Alampana is longing to meet you, but I have no time to wake them up. You should also rest. I will report your return in the morning. Alampana and Queen Alia. I will give. Look brother, I have no fault. I am not what you think I am, I said in a pleading tone. Very good, I said, taking a deep breath, and got into the car and sat on the seat. As soon as I sat on the seat, I felt as if I was sitting on wings. The old man sat on the seat in front of me and closed the door from inside. The car started with a slight jolt. Everyone else was left outside. The dull sounds of the bells tied around the horses' necks were ringing in my ears. For a long time, I tried to explain to the old man, but he was not ready to accept me. The car continued to run and I was wondering how it was traveling on the roads that there was not even a slight jolt even though a journey had started from the dense forest. I didn't want to talk to this flattering old man. I closed my eyes and I don't know when I fell asleep. Then when I felt hands on my body, my eyes opened and the car stopped. Get down, the old scholar said respectfully. I looked at him with the eyes of a saint and got down from the car, placing my feet on the post. There were torches, there were colorful flames, it was a beautiful scene. Then my eyes were raised towards this grand building which was of old style and there were numerous domes in it. I was not in my illusion that I would really reach a palace. I walked up the marble stairs and entered through the beautiful door. There was a long corridor which was bright, there was a spotted red carpet, there were big bright stones installed in the divans, from which the light was coming. I was mesmerized by this environment. The old man was with me. I didn't want to dare to talk directly to him now that he was a victim of misunderstanding, so he wouldn't pull my skin somewhere later. The corridor ended at a door. We passed through the door. On the other side, there was a grand hall with numerous pillars and the pillars were also illuminated with different colors. There were huge doors all around the hall. It was also a big room of imitation. There was a chandelier hanging on the ceiling of the room, which had blue glasses and a candle was lit in each glass. The blue light had made the atmosphere dreamy. The old man stopped and said that Alampana is longing to meet you, but I have no time to wake them up. You should also rest. I will report your return in the morning. Alampana and Queen Alia. I will give. Look brother, I have no fault. I am not what you think I am, I said in a pleading tone. My wicked prince, everything will be seen in the morning, said the old man, went and closed the door. I kept holding my head. There was a colored mirror in front of me. I looked forward and saw my face. The wind blew on my face. I laughed thinking that Mutaf will come. Sitting on the floor, I started to take off my shoes, but the straps were not even open yet. When two girls entered, my mouth fell open after seeing their beauty. One of them went forward, put my shoes on. The other one held the dress in her hand and extended it towards me, saying, Your Highness, please change your dress. I grabbed the dress, both were taken from the room. I quickly undressed and put on another dress. At that moment the door opened and the girl who had brought the dress entered. That night turned out to be the most beautiful of the last nights of my life. I forgot about Zarina's infidelity. I found out from the girl that she is the prince's maid. Her name is Shana. In the morning, she left and took my heart with her. I was lost in her thoughts when some maids entered the room. One of them said, Uli ja. Hot water and bath are ready, take a bath. Waqtam waqtam. After bathing, I was given a wonderful dress to wear. After some time, an elderly lady came to my room, and all the girls became polite after seeing her. Prince Ibran, the elderly woman said in a proud tone, the king has ordered that you will have breakfast with him. You should reach his room. After saying this, she left the room. Listen, I held a girl's hand and said who was she. Hey, you have forgotten them. This is your midwife. They have taken care of you since childhood, the girl said in surprise. So, has the prince's mother died? I asked. Repentance, repentance, what happened? The girl said in surprise. I took a cold breath. At the same time another maid entered the room and said politely, The Honorable King and Queen Alia are waiting for you. I followed this maid. I will enter the breakfast room. It is wrong to call it a room. There was a beautiful hall in which there was a long table and there were various kinds of food on it. I could see both of them sitting on the chair. One of them was a tall but very beautiful lady and the other was a very old man who was looking at me with angry eyes. You have become so insolent that your mother and I are in front of you and you have not even greeted. The elderly said in a very horrifying voice. I quickly stood up from the chair and greeted both of them and sat down. What has happened to your voice? Where are you wandering? Your health also seems to be bad. The old man said, Desha, if you have permission, let me have breakfast first. I am very hungry, then you know what to do, I said in a humble tone. Yusuf Ibran, correct your senses, we are not your enemies. The world you want to see is the world of hypocrites and usurpers. There, everyone is an enemy of each other. They are said to be the best of creations, but they are worse than animals. Tell the truth that for a few days you have. How have you found them after spending time with them? The elder said, I was bowed down. The elder had said the truth. I was a person of this world. I took courage and said, Your Honor, you are telling the truth, but I want to remove your misunderstanding. What has happened to your voice, old woman? This is my voice. I am Arif, not Yusuf Hebrew. I bowed my head and said, If you misbehave in front of me, you will be punished. The old man spoke angrily. Dear sir, your world is charming. I would like to live here, but I am not your son. Elders started looking at me with surprise. They clapped and a servant entered. Call Safina, the elder said. At the same time the woman who was the midwife entered. Safina, look carefully, is this not Hebrew? The elder said. This woman looked at them in surprise. Then she came closer and looked me in the eyes and quickly retreated and spoke in a confused manner. This is not Yusuf Hebrew. Yusuf has a mole in his left eye. This young man looks like a daughter-in-law. Upon hearing this, the elderly woman who was sitting in front of him put on a veil and the elders who were looking at me with anger softened their faces. There is no fault, send him to the guest room and bring Daniel. This fool has made a big mistake. Come, said Daya in a very dry tone. Have mercy on me, I have told the truth, I should not be punished for this. I said to the midwife, I had tears in my eyes, will I be kicked out now? The door opened and two servants brought a tray covered with cloth and placed it in front of me and left the room. When they removed the cloth, there was food in the tray. I was getting sleepy. I don't know when I fell asleep. I didn't know how long I was sleeping. My eyes were open. It was dark all around. I changed my clothes. Then I realized that I was not lying on the floor. I opened my eyes and looked around. It wasn't that guest house, so which place is this? I looked around, it was a railway station. I had a briefcase with me and my clothes were on my body. I opened the briefcase and looked inside. I was remembering the old man in the palace and the past moment. I took a deep breath and understood that the people of this state had mixed anesthetic in my food and thrown me there after I became unconscious. I got up and went straight to the ticket holder. I had read the name of the city written on the station building. But sitting down and thinking about my palace and the moments spent in it, a strange sadness came over my heart. I got off at the next station and went straight to a small hotel. I rented a hotel room and slept. The next day, I woke up early and went straight to the hotel restaurant to have breakfast. I did not know that the police had hidden my photo and sent it to every police station. I was just eating when something cold hit the back of my neck and I heard a voice in my ears, put your hands up. In short, I was stopped by the policeman. It was found out from the policeman. I was very happy to hear that the police have locked Akhtar Beg in jail under suspicion. Now I know what will happen to me. It was night. I was given food along with other prisoners. I had not eaten. The prisoners started arranging for me to sleep. I was also given a smelly blanket. The yellow light bulb of the lockup was passing by. The prisoner was lying next to me. He poked his finger in my back and I jumped. I turned my head and looked at him. He was smiling, but I couldn't believe my eyes. He was just like me. My daughter-in-law was like me. But this prisoner was not here all day. Where did he come from? What are you thinking, friend? He asked me with a smile. I asked in surprise, who are you? He looked at me carefully and said, Talut, Yusuf Hebrew, a jinn, in whose place you went to the palace last night. To be continued.